What's good, everybody? Welcome into Inside the Green Room with Danny
Chip,
Green.
chip,
I
chip.
am Harrison Sanford. Thank you for tuning in. And if you're using the Audacy Podcast app, thank you. If you're not, still thank you. Make sure you give us a 5-star review. And if you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button and share some comments if you're enjoying the show, and feed us some questions as well, as we'll continue to cover the NBA playoffs and the NBA finals. And unfortunately, it will not include the New York Knicks.
Bro, y'all were so excited and hyped, and you had a lot of faith and hope. And I love it every year. It's like the Cowboys fans, and I said,
No, don't do that. We're not Cowboy fans.
So admirable, bro.
No.
Y'all, Knicks and 6, Knicks and 7. Y'all be down 0-2 at home at Knicks and 6. Bro, what? Y'all think y'all lose at least one more game? Okay, yeah, maybe could win the series. They're gonna go to 7. Mark my words. They're going to win this one comfortably, which was nice. They're going to make this adjustment, and they're going to, if this close in game 6, and they get to the game 7, even if they got it to game 7, they would have smoked it. That's all I'm saying. It's hard to win 3 games in a row. There's a reason why 95% of teams that are up 3-1 close out. And the Knicks were not going to be one of those 5% of teams to do it when they haven't done it in 25, 30. They celebrate the historical run that you had, and you got to the conference finals the first time in 25 years. Be happy. Yes, you had a nice little pathway. You had a great opportunity to make it to the finals and actually possibly win one. This should have been the year for you guys. Boston out of there hurt. You did the hard work early. Matched up with a team was just a bad matchup for you guys. Then you just, what hurt you, what killed you was game 1. 20 points in the third quarter by Aaron Nesmith. And you smoked that game.
In the fourth quarter.
And overtime, which is crazy. And that just took the pride, took the air out of you, the wind out of you. You got tired. Then you lost 2 at home. You think Indiana's lose 2 at home? No, absolutely not. They may lose 1, but once you get to 3-1, they're comfortable. But
there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that I want to discuss with you, specifically about the New York Knicks. We will preview the NBA Finals. We will talk about some of the news that we're hearing as it pertains to the offseason for Giannis Antetokounmpo and other big-time stars in the NBA. But yeah, let's talk about the New York Knicks, who became obviously a very popular team towards the end of the season and during these playoffs. We're going to talk about Thibs. We're going to talk about Cat. We're going to talk about Jalen Brunson, the combination of Cat and Brunson. But first and foremost, Danny, I'm struggling to qualify this Knicks season because on one hand, I always thought, and my expectations for the Knicks going into the season was beat any team in the playoffs, not named the Boston Celtics. And I would be happy. Like, if they lost to the Celtics in the playoffs, I'd have been like, it is what it is. I don't expect them to win. But any other team, I would have been disappointed if they lost to. So when they have the opportunity to beat the Celtics and they actually beat them, and, people are going to say Jason Tatum got hurt in game 4. They were going to be up 3-1, similar to just how the pace. They would have win that game, and more than likely they would have won that series. And we're not making exceptions for injuries because nobody at the end of the day, nobody cares. You win.
Nobody feels bad.
Nobody feels bad for you. So I am happy, or I could be satisfied that they beat the Celtics. But yet, yes, there's that disappointment that they fumbled the series against the Pacers. It would be one thing, Danny, if they played to their peak potential against the Pacers and still lost. But I think what we saw versus the Pacers, the turnovers, the points given up on makes, those are infuriating on top of the other flaws that this roster has. It's really hard for me to be satisfied, but but they beat the Celtics. They overcame a lot of the regular season issues that they had in terms of not being able to beat elite teams by beating the Celtics. So part of me is also not disappointed. I just find myself, and they got to the conference finals, which is the first time they've done it in the Jalen Brunson era. For the past 2 years, it was losing the second round. So I can't qualify it. Can you help me? Is this New York Knicks season a success?
Absolutely. And I'm going to try my best to help you qualify it. Because even though it wasn't the Boston Celtics, it's still a loss in the Eastern Conference Finals, which you thought would have been the Boston Celtics, and you got there. To give them grace, nobody on that team, with the exception of OG Anunoby and Karl Anthony Towns, has gone this far in the playoffs.
No, Mikal Bridges was in the finals, bro.
Oh, yeah, I forget about that. But he did well. He played well. So they had some pieces. But to me, it was still, they didn't have the depth.
No, but hold on. But wasn't DeLon right on your Raptors team, or they traded him away?
No, they traded him away.
Trade deadline.
Traded him away. But he was a good piece. And mind you, he had a very limited role in this scenario. Yeah. PJ's on the bench. You got some veteran, but the mental fortitude, the stamina you need, the guys that are playing the minutes, like the Jalen Brunsons, like the Josh Harts. Realistically, this series was a struggle more so because Josh Hart wasn't his normal self. And if he played his normal self, I think it's a different outcome. And you can say they fumbled it, but honestly, I just think it was a bad matchup for you guys. I just think, and I don't know what the number is for the regular season, what the matchup or what the record was.
The Knicks won 2-1 during the regular season, and Cat had great numbers during the regular season against the Pacers.
Cat was a matchup problem for sure, but the Pacers, when they play at that pace, they're out and running. The Knicks is not in their favor, and we knew, especially as you get further in the series, they didn't have the depth. Their bodies would get tired. So for them to stay healthy was more of a surprise to me, playing those guys that many minutes. The top seven three-man rotations leading the league were Knick guys. You know what I'm saying? Like combinations. OG, Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, Jalen Brunson. Knicks led in the top 7, and you kept guys healthy for the playoffs, which was a plus. So to have the mental fortitude, the stamina to make it that far and stay locked in, I still think even if y'all don't drop, the only way you dropped the ball was game 1. Game 2, you didn't have control. I think this team was a better team, and I think because they had been there last year, they've been in the Eastern Conference Finals, and they had been together for a long period of time. This is Cat's first year with them. Not saying they had a really good year, and yes, can they be better? Do you keep Cat? I think for sure you keep Cat, unless you can get Giannis. We'll get into that in a second. But this is definitely a successful season. They did all the things that you expected them to do, even though it wasn't the team that you expected them to lose to. They got to where you feel is a good.
It's a mark of success. Getting to the Eastern Conference Finals is a mark of success, regardless of the
and you didn't lose. Now, to me, if you lost in a sweep or a gentleman's sweep, then I'm disappointed. But you took it 6 games, and you had hope to even take it to 7 games. If you didn't drop that game 1, I think this might be a 7-game series. Do they win the series? I don't know. Indiana just seemed more mature. They seemed more consistent. Pascal taking it to another level. Halliburton, Miles Turner was good, even though he couldn't stop Cat. But they had guys step up time and time again, which they did last year. Whether it was Nembhard, Mathurin, Nesmith, McConnell, Obi Toppin, they have so many pieces.
Thomas Bryant came out of nowhere.
Thomas Bryant hit 3 threes in a row. You know what I'm saying? Like getting hot, and because Tony Bradley was hurt, they mixed in guys. But Rick Carlisle did a great job of mixing those guys in throughout the whole year and in the playoffs and trusting them and allowing them to hoop. Thibodeau. Not saying that he made mistakes.
We're going to talk about Tibbs.
He tried to throw those guys in a little late, and they still balled out. They hooped. It might have been too late, but they're not used to those scenarios because they haven't been in that situation or put in that situation throughout the whole duration of the playoffs. So yes, multitude of things have happened. Ultimately, all in all, it was a great season. It was a successful season, and I think Knicks fans can go home. They should go home happy because you did something, you accomplished something you haven't done in 25 years, and you have a great group together to where this is a team that can contend for a championship. You just need some pieces, some depth, and just a couple adjustments and staying healthy. But you have the pieces, and these guys are still young enough to do it for another 2 or 3 years.
I went into the playoff. I went into the season, and I went into the playoffs thinking that eventually the Boston Celtics were going to expose the Knicks' fatal flaw. In my opinion, their fatal flaw being their best players, their 2 players that they rely on to generate offense, are also their worst defenders, and they're not just their worst defenders. They're targetable defenders. Yeah. You could find out where Cat is, find out where Brunson is, and that will be the key. That will be the key to how you start your offense. I think that's difficult thing.
That's what Indiana, I think, did better than Boston did, more so with putting Jalen more in action.
And that's what surprised me. I thought Boston would be able to expose it, but they didn't. And maybe to your point, I feel like Boston really only attacked Cat, whereas the Pacers attacked Cat and Brunson. They would do like that stagger pick and roll where they're like, okay, who's guarding Brunson? Have him come over so we can switch, and then Miles Turner comes so we can do the pick and pop. So it was like a guard to guard pick and roll, pick and screen and roll, and then a guard to big pick and pop. They made sure that those two were in the actions, and I think that's what really eventually led to the Knicks having to then go to Mitchell Robinson in the starting lineup, and now you have rotations that you're not used to, and defensive communication to break it down. It was a tough pill to swallow seeing it because it was exposed.
I agree for the most part, but I'm gonna go back to my main point was the mental and physical fatigue, because Jalen Brunson, they did put him in action in Boston, but he defended way better than he did. And he did some in this series with Indiana, but they were hedging so much. They were so scared to switch with him, which they shouldn't have. They should have switched more with him. But even when Jalen Brunson and Jason Tatum were trying to go 1-on-1 Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum was going 1-on-1 against Jalen Brunson, he held his own. He made him shoot turnaround fadeaways. It took them out of their offense where they're one-on-one pull-up fadeaways, which you want the Boston to take because they mostly want to get to the paint and shoot threes. So you live with that. And ultimately, it worked in Knicks' favor because they didn't shoot well, and it kind of slowed the game down to where they could play at their tempo. But Jalen Brunson, just to me, in the last series, looked a little, even though he scored well early on, he still looked tired, run down, worn out, and he was working way too hard for his baskets. And then defense, they were just attacking him. And Nesmith did a great job. Even though he scored well, he still did a great job fighting over him, bothering him. Nembhard the same, getting over screens, getting up under him, just irritating him. And I think it just wore him down. You can see in that game 6, he just didn't have the legs. He didn't have the same aggression on both ends. But defensively in that whole series, it's kind of like Luka. Luka looked great against Minnesota last year in the series defensively. That's why Dallas beat.
Then he got to the finals and it looked like, whoa.
Can't move. Like his legs, his slide, he exerted so much energy. Ant was trying to do the same thing. He tried to play guard Kyrie and play offense. You can't be the main guy and guard Kyrie Irving and then think you're going to last the whole series. Or if you get out of that series, guess what? The next series, you're going to be cooked. And I think that happened more so with Cat, this mental fatigue and the physical fatigue. And when he got to the finals, they were just like, or the Western Conference Finals, after beating Denver, they were spent. So it takes a year if you're getting your ass whipped and going through that mental fatigue to be like, all right, now I know what it takes to stay locked in mentally, physically, emotionally, and make sure I have my legs, or figure out for coaching staff to keep guys' legs fresh to where that they can still be efficient on both ends of the floor, where Jalen Brunson would be able to hedge the same way or get out and switch and make these guys take pull-up twos or turnaround twos, So I think that ultimately I still think comes down to the factor of fatigue, because that 20-point fourth quarter with Nesmith, even though he got hot, it would have been different if they were a fresher, more locked-in team as they were against Boston. Like, they didn't allow Boston to do that. They were the team coming back down 20, not letting Boston come back down 20, So them exerting that much energy, come back down from 20 against Boston, it comes up to bite you in the ass, man. You can't just keep playing from behind all the time. Unfortunately, they were ahead, and they just ran out of gas. And then from there, once you lose a game like that, your pride, your soul, heart and soul, it takes a hit. And you're like, damn, that's just a devastating loss, bro, to where it's hard to regain emotions for the next game. And you may think you're there consciously, but subconsciously you're like, damn, I can't believe we lost that damn game. Even though we lost game 6 against the Miami Heat, game 7, we played our ass off. We played hard. And we tried to wipe it away out of our minds. As much as we try to, it's still lingering there, and it's hard to not have that, hit you like a ton of bricks and have, be able to pick yourself back up and just be a fresh new person. You just can't do it. It's hard to do.
That's definitely, as you were talking, I figured that's where you were kind of drawing some of your experience from. All right, let's get into some questions now that the front office is going to be asking themselves as the Knicks go into the postseason. Number 1, is Tom Thibodeau equipped to coach this New York Knicks team to an NBA Finals appearance / NBA Finals championship?
Yes. I think he's the right coach. I was very shaky on Tibbs, not going to lie. I was a little like, especially when he started going deep into rotation. I'm like, don't change your starting lineup. That just shows panic. To me, I didn't think there was nothing wrong. When they lost their 2 games at home, it wasn't the starts. It was the finishes. You were up 20. You were up in the first game. The second game, you were tired. You were down most of the game, but you were fine. You didn't start wrong. You didn't start bad. I didn't think nothing needed to change. Yes, Mitchell Robinson should have been put in earlier or mix more that double big action earlier or more often to give Cat an advantage or give you a rebounding advantage. But I think when you did that, I think that took something away from Josh Hart. As much as he says he's before you can be all for winning in the team, that takes away your confidence, bro. You go from starting all season long, having a great season, and all playoffs long. Next, we lose 2 games. And it's not like we were getting blown out those teams. We had a handle on game 1, and in game 2, it was like, all right, they played well. But then it's like, all right, I got to come off the bench. Now he's second-guessing himself. You know what I'm saying? And as confident as he is or confident as he was, he didn't look like the same Josh Hart. And I think that's where y'all lost the series. Because Josh Hart just wasn't – normal Josh Hart himself, triple-double or at least double-double. Rebounding, pushing the pace, getting outlets, getting to that rim and getting some N1s, knocking down a couple threes here or there. He didn't look like that same Josh Hart that we seen playing against Philly last year or playing even against Boston. Like the series that we normally see him. Some could argue, he's playing above his head, but that's been the normal Josh Hart as a Knick for the last 2 years. So
he only managed to hit 2 3-pointers in this Eastern Conference Finals. He definitely didn't seem like himself. I think going forward, Danny, with Thibs, and I do think he's going to be the head coach going forward. I think it'd be almost too drastic and to find somebody else. To make that change, you would have to be so confident in the next person.
Coach. Yeah.
And I don't know if there's a guy out there that's going to give you more confidence than Thibs. It might make you feel differently, might make you feel optimistic, but at the end of the day, I think you just lose a lot. And I think here's what I would say about Coach Thibodeau. It's not as if he's ever really lost a series where he's had the better team. Mm-hmm. It's not like he's lost a series where he's been up 3-1. You know what I'm saying?
He didn't lose a series he was supposed to win. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. This one was like they could have won, and they probably should have if played differently. They could have won. It wasn't like they should have won, but it's one that they could have won. If they got swept, then it's calls for, all right, what the hell happened? Because you're not it wasn't that much of a difference in talent. If you even got a gentleman's sweep, now there's still a little bit of talks like, okay, what the hell? Why do we 0-2 at home and then we only win 1 game to the Indiana Pacers? That wouldn't have been acceptable either. But this was a series. I said it was a bad matchup, and you could have won it, but it's not like you should have won it. And he did make adjustments that helped. Mitchell Robinson helped, bringing guys off the bench helped. I was shocked that Campaign got no minutes and they put in DeLon Wright, but Deuce McBride, I thought Deuce was big for them. And so was, just adding in Shamet and other guys to the series to give them some fresh legs and a breath of fresh air. But that's something that I feel like they should have been doing all season or even early in the playoffs. But it worked. Said he looks like a genius because it worked. Because if it didn't work, then it'd be like, why the hell did you bring in these guys? If you lost, 3 in a row, why the hell are you playing DeLon Wright? But DeLon played well. Shamet played well. So Deuce played well. But yes, they did what they were supposed to. They lost in 6. It's a respectable loss to a team that was really good, that had been in the Eastern Conference Finals just a year prior. And it's your first time in the Eastern Conference Finals in 25 years. So,
to Tibbs' credit, he has brought the Knicks to a level of success that we haven't seen in over 2 decades. He has officially cemented a new era of Knicks basketball. I think most Knicks fans think of the 90s Knicks with Ewing. Mm-hmm. You think of the mellow Knicks the Knicks tape Knicks never reached this level of success. And this team has made an Eastern Conference Finals, and the way the roster is kind of set up in terms of their ages and the contracts, it seems like there's still a 3 to 4 year window at least where they can be competitive. So he's going to have, 25 years from now, he's going to be one of those guys, just like Larry Johnson, just like Allen Houston, just like John Starks. He'll come back to the Garden and he's going to be celebrated because he ushered in this new era of New York Knicks that ingratiated a new fan base, a new generation of Knicks fans. So he has made his mark. With that being said, I do think for him, I think what was difficult and what is a lot of Knicks fans are going to be asking for going forward or questioning him about if he is the head coach, not having Mitchell Robinson throughout the duration of the regular season, I think threw off maybe something that could have been more beneficial to them. I watch every Knicks game, and it feels like I never saw Mitchell Robinson and Karl-Anthony Towns play on the court at the same time until the Pistons series. Until the Pistons series. And I know like part of it is because Mitchell Robinson was hurt, but I do think, and you played under Coach Popovich, so maybe you have a lot more expertise or a point of view on this perspective. It feels like Coach Thibodeau is so obsessed with winning regular season game 59 that he's not concerned enough about winning postseason game number 5 because he wants to win that regular season. And there's a value in that. There's 100% of value in making your guys play hard every single night and sticking with your rotations and sticking with your guys who you know, because you want them to be trained enough to handle big minutes in the playoffs. But one would want maybe more tinkering and maybe more foresight on, okay, when we get to the playoffs, teams are going to guard us like this. Let's experiment with this type of lineup, that type of lineup. And yeah, you still want to have your guys like kind of locked in with their rotation minutes, but coming in the playoffs now, it felt like this was the first. There were lineups out there that we've never seen before. And part of that is maybe this their talent level, and part of that is on Coach Thibs, I would think, to like be like, hey, I got to prepare my team in a different way in postseason. Yes.
I'm with you on that. I also think the summer, even if they don't get a big free that's on the market for a trade, they will look to get some real pieces that gives them depth. That'll help for that. But yes, injuries did hurt them. Even Jalen Brunson being out for the last like fourth of the season, like he missed like 3 or 4 weeks end of the season where they were balling. But just to have that,
I thought that helped. I thought that helped them though. I thought it gave OG confidence.
It gave a lot of those guys confidence, but said small things of just not having minutes on the road with lineups like that. You know what I'm saying? DeLon Wright getting some Shamet, but having Mitchell Robinson was a big key piece that you didn't have for most of the season. So yes, that takes, I won't say a toll, but it takes precedent when it comes to preparing for the playoffs and having a look at different lineups. So yeah, will he make some adjustments? I think he will. And seeing how it worked for him in the playoffs, I think he'll prepare better and be in there. But I think the front office will also prepare better to give them the pieces that they need that will help them keep guys like Jalen Brunson fresh, Cat fresh, you know what I'm saying, to where they can give them breather or minutes. Or if Josh Hart's not playing well, who do we have to fill those shoes? And maybe it is keeping Mitchell Robinson and trying to find a way to keep him healthy, or moving him and getting 2 pieces that are like give you some more depth. So
yeah,
it's going to be interesting.
It is. I mean, it's going to be hard to get Mitchell Robinson to trade him and get 2 pieces back because he's on a very, very convenient deal, only making $12 million next season. It is the last year of his contract, so we'll see how that plays out. He could be a trade candidate because of that, but he also seems like somebody who's also mandatory for the New York Knicks because of Cat's defensive liabilities and because as it presently stands in the Eastern Conference, you still have a guy like Giannis Antetokounmpo, and you still have a guy like Joel Embiid if he comes back healthy. Mitchell Robinson would definitely be the person that you would need in a series against a healthy Sixers team, against a healthy Giannis Antetokounmpo. With that being said, another discussion that is a valid discussion to have because the numbers throughout the playoffs, throughout the regular season, show that the Knicks starting lineup didn't dominate like one would think they should have. When you have 4 players in your starting lineup that are all capable of scoring over 20 points in a game, and you have the pick and pop ability of Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns, it's surprising to see how poor they were. And maybe that's where some of the criticism of Coach Thibodeau is going to be directed towards. It's like, hey, yeah, we don't have depth. We don't have great depth, but we do have a great starting lineup. Why wasn't this starting lineup better? With that being said, one of the hallmarks of the starting lineup, obviously, Jalen Brunson, Karl-Anthony Towns. And you and I, we just talked about it. Their inability, they are not plus defenders. We could all keep it real here. And it doesn't mean they're not great players. There's a lot of great players. There's a lot of players who are not great defenders who could still win a title. Steph Curry won a title. Now I could go down the list. You don't necessarily need to have 5 lockdown wing defenders in order to win a title in the NBA. The question is, though, Danny, can you win a title with Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns as your main 2 players?
Yes, especially in the East. Depending on where Giannis is going and where KD is going, I think the East is still kind of wide open, and Boston has to make moves, right? They're talking about moving some guys. They can't keep everybody together because they're just way over the cap. So they're not going to be the same team. Jason Tatum is out for at least 2/3 of the season next year. So, yes, in the East, you're definitely wide open. You can make it to the finals, and half the battle is just getting there. Once you get there, you never know what's going to happen. Anybody can get hot. Anything can happen. And most teams that are there, you hope that are fully healthy, but most of them are banged up and bruised up, and they don't have their full healthy team. So you have a shot always anytime you get to the finals. Now, keeping Cat, 100% show, almost 100%. Only way I get rid of Cat, I'm definitely keeping Jalen Brunson. Only way I'm getting rid of Cat is if Giannis is an option and he's available. That's the only way. If I can get Giannis, that's the only way I'm trading Cat. But if anybody else, I'm not trading Cat. I think those two are a good tandem, and those surrounding pieces are great. You just need some good minimum guys for depth in the lineup that can give you some good minutes to keep them fresh and regulate the regular season for you when there's some injuries, bumps and bruises. But they have enough pieces they've shown to be contenders and to come out of the East.
I agree with you as well. I think as much as I hate as a guy who really likes defense, that's my favorite player growing up was Gary Payton. I hate the fact that the team that I root for, their 2 best players are not great defenders, but it is what it is. I still think, the Brunson and Cat combination can survive. I mean, not to say that Jamal Murray's a bad defender, but you have Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic won a title because they're the most lethal 2-man game in the league. And I think if you're going to have a starting line, if you're going to have a team with Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson, yes, you want them to play great. You want them to play good defensively, but there's a cap on that. I think offensively, Danny, and you've probably seen this too, there is a level of disappointment that they're not more potent. That 2-man game between
they got to figure it out. Yeah, it's got to be better.
Obviously, it's not going to get to Jokic and Jamal Murray level because they have so many years and reps together. But it should be the second best 2-man game in the NBA, and it's not. When you consider everywhere on the floor that Cat can score from, everywhere that Jalen Brunson can score from, Brunson's ability to draw contact, Cat's ability to draw contact, how good they are at the free throw line, both of their abilities to put it down the floor, both of their abilities to hit it from 3, both of their abilities to hit it from mid-range. This should, and the fact they generally would have Bridges and OG Anunoby, floor spacers on the court with them, this should be the second best 2-man game in the league. And the fact that they finished the Eastern Conference Finals with only 5 assists between each other shows you that there's a lot left on the table for this combination. Yes. Do I wish they could play better defense together? Yes, but it's probably not going to be a reality. It is what it is. But you could still win with them. But in order for them to make up for what's going on the defensive end, they got to be way better offensively as a starting 5 and as a 2-man unit.
Yeah, as a tandem, they got to be. It's got to be more of a threat of we're scared of these two. They're just scared of them individually and not together. And they got to figure out that this summer of getting some reps in, some working out, and then throughout the regular season next year, because they have the pieces and they are good enough. But they just have to make it work. Instead of my turn, your turn, it's got to be us together of punishing people, putting them in situations where it's hard to guard us, and getting other guys open looks. Like I said, if y'all trying to stop us too, guess what? OG and Mikal on the other side getting work. Josh Hart is free. And to make the game easier for everybody if they had it work together as a tandem, and that tandem was fluid. That's also with time. That'll take with time, and hopefully it'll grow, but only time will tell.
See, okay, so I think the Giannis thing is interesting. I personally, as a Knicks fan, don't want to do it because it's not just going to be Cat. It's not just going to be Cat.
You think Giannis. It's going to be more people. I think you can do it.
Or maybe Cat and Bridges, and now all of a sudden.
Maybe. I don't think you have to do that. Maybe
you get
so.
back into the same thing when you're that we complain about, where it's like, yo, you don't have any depth because you traded for a big time star who's making big time salary, and now all of a sudden you don't have a full roster. And yes, is Giannis better than Cat? Of course, but now we're going against depth again. And honestly, you would have to restructure the team because Giannis doesn't fit with Mitchell Robinson. You know what I'm saying? And then Jalen Brunson is a guy who's used to having the ball in his hands. Now he's an off-ball guy. Like it's not like you get Giannis and it's a seamless fit, and then you're also losing depth.
I'm with you on that, but because I thought it had to be, but it doesn't. If you do get Giannis and you have to trade away 2, I think you get 2 in return. But Yahoo provided an outline today. I don't know if you saw this, where they can trade Giannis because Cat. People forget how much money Cat makes. You can trade Cat and Tyler Kolek and a protected first-round pick and 2 second rounds. You can picks and Cat and a small piece. You know, that can get it done. So if you can do it that way,
the Bucks are too smart to just settle for that. Yeah. That's not enough. If I'm the Bucks.
You assume everybody's too smart. Not everybody is smart in this world. I've seen a lot of people give up some pieces and be like, what the hell are you doing? Why'd you give up De'Aaron Fox and not get Stephon Castle or Devin Vassell or both of them? There have been some trades where it scratches your head. And now for them to get the picks and get Karl-Anthony Towns, they're like, okay, they'll probably move off Dame too to try to get some and just start a franchise over and maybe try to pick up Kate Book or somebody like that. You know, who knows who they're trying to get, but you never know. So we've seen some strange things happen. And if the Knicks can do it that way and Milwaukee says, all right, you know what, we'll take that. I'm sure they're going to want more, but it could happen.
I will say this. I'm generally not a person who wants to trade for somebody who's going to make it a do or die season. I would rather have like a 5-year window, which is what the Knicks presently have. When you have
keep your group together and build the chemistry.
Exactly. But I do understand
that's an AD situation. That's an AD situation. You trade for Giannis, it's like we got to win now 2 or 3 years, and if we don't, it's a big bust. It's a fail. Yeah, instead of keeping it together, it's like we got 4 or 5 years, and it's like, all right, we built on it. If we don't lose, we don't win. You know, at least we tried. We gave it all out. We didn't do anything risky. We did what we were supposed to do, and it just didn't work out.
Now I say that because again, it would be a risky move. It would be a risky move because now your title window will maybe come down to 1, max 2 years. But I do understand the logic of Kevin Durant for Karl-Anthony Towns because Kevin Durant is that stretch 4. And you could start Mitchell Robinson, and he's going to give you buckets in the half court, in the full court, and even with his age, he's a better defender than Karl-Anthony Towns. Not close to the rebounder. And Karl-Anthony Towns was number 2 in the NBA in rebounds per game, so they would lose that. That would be a big thing that they would lose. But in terms of scoring and maximizing the offensive potential and not being as bad defensively, I could see Kevin Durant for Karl-Anthony Towns straight up. I wouldn't do anything else, just straight up, because Kevin Durant, it's not like Kevin Durant's 30 years old. Just straight up, KD for Towns. Again, the Knicks would go down to a 2-year window.
Yes, but that's why I would disagree. I think it's a do or die situation again, which I'm not a fan of, and I wouldn't do it because the window is even smaller with KD. Now with Giannis, at least you have 3 years for sure. KD, you have 1 to 2. Like he is this past year, he had a bunch of injuries, and we don't know what he's going to look like this year coming up. This is year 19, 20 for him coming up.
Yeah, it's risky.
You're not going to get the same. It's a very big risk where you have a 1 to 2 year window. At least with Giannis, you have 3 to 4 years. He's still a lot younger than KD. And this is a real do or die situation. And if KD's not healthy for the whole year next year, it's a super bust. Like
it's too much risk with such a bright of a future. I understand it, but I couldn't pull the trigger on that. Just run it back, get a more complete roster, and that compels. Get players so good that it compels Tom Thibodeau to use them throughout the duration of the season and get that 2-man game between Brunson and Cat. Get that on another level. The level that it's at is unsatisfactory for how good they are. Point blank, period.
That's it.
That's it. That's all. With that being said, enough Knicks talk. Let's get down to the final teams yet, who will be playing in the NBA Finals, the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Indiana Pacers. When we come back, we will break down the series, who's going to win, how many games, Finals MVP, and that much more when we come back on Inside the Green Room. All right, the NBA Finals get started June 5th, Thursday. Oklahoma City Thunder, major favorite against the Indiana Pacers. And before we talk about that, Danny, I have something to be upsetting. And I hope that people of Italian heritage do not get mad at me for what I'm about to say. So I said it before that now that we're in the phase of the year where like now there's very few games. Now I'm like trying to figure out what I do with my nights. Eventually I will dip more into the WNBA. I will watch a lot more Yankee games and maybe some major baseball games, one that really have some build up towards it. But now I'm going back into watching TV shows. And so I'm doing my second watch of Sopranos. And before last week's episode, I said that I liked I forgot how good The Sopranos is. Danny, I'm in season 2 now, and it's not as good as I thought it was.
It's getting dry. There's dry. There's going to be dry moments, but it's going to come back. It's kind of like The Wire. The Wire, like season 2, was a very long, hard one to get through, but it's just a nostalgic thing more so than anything.
It's not that I can take some of the character development episodes, episodes where it really is kind of slow and there's not a lot of action. It's not that. I'm cool with that. I understand the value of character development, and sometimes it does feel like sometimes it feels more like a sitcom than it does a crime drama, which is fine by me. I get it. What doesn't get talked about a lot when it comes to The Sopranos, at least that I haven't heard. Some of the acting of the others, not of the main guys, like of the others, is not good. Like it's just not it's not like
it was early days, bro. It's a long time ago. Like this is different type of TV, different type of directing, different type of producing. You know what I'm saying? Like just the quality is very different.
Yes, it's not the acting of the main stars. It's the acting of like I don't want to do
the kids.
Yeah, like the kids acting is not good. I thought it could be a lot better. There's some characters who really nailed their role. Like I think Richie.
It also is. It was like a starter for like how like Seinfeld and Friends has a bunch of people that just come on, or they start their careers there. So like this is where a lot of young, like I'm gonna say artists, but young actors who become great, actors, or they started here, so they took their lumps. And for people, it's like, oh, I didn't know he was on this, even though they weren't great on this, but they're in the series. Like, oh, I remember him from this, and it's like they got better, but this is them in their younger days. So they just this was the set where they got like, their little bearings. You know what I'm saying?
And that's what happened. Some of these characters, like some of the acting, is just not as top tier as
it's not hitting home for you. And that's how it was for me. Like when watching like people comparing The Wire to Snowfall, and it's like The Wire was just the first of its kind, and it was really good. It's just hard to see. The quality is so different, and then the acting, like some of them were from Baltimore, but it's different. And like the acting today has gotten better. Everything has just gotten better. So, yeah, no, that's for sure. With that being said, I'm still enjoying it. I'm still going to be watching it. That is for sure. All right, now let's get into the NBA Finals. Oh, by the way, I would also say your friends and neighbors, it finished out, and also Mobland. I haven't. Mobland was dope. I have to finish Friends and Neighbors, and I think one episode for each. But yes, both of them very good. Mobland, yes, Chef's Kiss.
Yeah, both of them finished out their seasons in a fantastic way. I'm almost sad that now it's over because now I gotta search for other new shows to keep up.
Oh, there's plenty. There's plenty out there now, bro. I'm gonna try and get one from you before the show's over. But let's get into the NBA Finals. Danny, the Oklahoma City Thunder are a huge favorite to win this series, considering how they've
ran roughshod throughout the entirety of the playoffs outside that Denver Nuggets series. Now there is an interesting there's an interesting scenario with these two teams because people believe that they are somewhat similar in terms of the fact that they both have depth. The Oklahoma City Thunder, they have absolutely excelled at turning points into turnovers. Their pick six game is something that we've never seen before in the NBA. And on the other side, you do have a team that likes to run in the Indiana Pacers, but they are manned by a point guard by the name of Tyrese Halliburton, who is known to take care of the ball. But as well as Tyrese Halliburton has played in terms of ball protection so far throughout the entirety of the playoffs, I don't know if he could take care of the ball this much, or even if he does, it's not as Tyrese Halliburton is not a high usage point guard. Part of the reason why he doesn't have a lot of turnovers because he gives the ball up so fast. He doesn't want to hold it a lot. And that means other players are going to have the ball in their hand. Hello, Andrew Nembhard. Hello, Pascal Siakam. Hello, Aaron Nesmith. Hello, Miles Turner. Hello, Benedict Mathurin. Are you going to be able to hold on to the ball when Cason Wallace is on that ass? Are you going to be able to hold on to the ball when Alex Caruso is all up in your chest? Are you going to be able to hold on to the ball when Jalen Williams is trying to strip it from you? That is the question for me. I don't think they will. So the handsiness of this Oklahoma City Thunder team, and because of their depth, their ability for Lou, I didn't even say Lou Dort, for Lou Dort to go out there and be like, yo, I could be as aggressive as I want to be, because even if I have to go to the bench, Cason Wallace is coming up or Alex Caruso is coming up. It's big time problems for any offense. And I honestly, because the Pacers are going to invite a high pace, I don't think they're going to be able to keep up or be able to run any good enough offense to win this series.
I'm in agreement, brother. I mean, the Oklahoma City Thunder is a favorite for good reason. Defense wins championships, and they are the better defensive team. And they have, as deep as Indiana is, they have more depth on the defensive end of the floor. They have multiple bodies that can throw at Tyrese Halliburton. It ain't just Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby, even though they didn't use OG as much as they should have on Tyrese Halliburton. But those defenders with the Lou Dorts and said Carson Wallace, Alex Caruso, Cason Wallace, Jalen Williams, Aaron Wiggins, these guys are so scrappy, bro. They're going to make Tyrese, they're going to make it very tough on him. And I see him, as efficient he is, turn the ball over a lot more than he normally would against other teams and those other guys. But they're just so deep defensively, and not just in general, that I think that's going to be the difference in the series. Indiana can run, both teams can score, both teams have good depth for offensive purposes, but defensively, Indiana hasn't matched up with a perimeter group that can defend like this in the playoffs since they've been playing. Because Indiana, like New York said, Jalen Brunson is a guy that they can attack. They don't have guys that they can attack. Even Shea is a guy that could have been an all defensive team type of guy. He plays defense. They get steals. They get physical. Now, if the referees let them play how they normally play, it's going to be a lot for Indiana to handle. You're not going to be able to just run or outrun them and outscore them, because they have the defensive presence and people and the bigs too that can give you trouble. So Miles Turner is going to be huge in the series, playing against Chet and Hartenstein and trying to, I guess, neutralize that matchup. But ultimately, man, I want to see a good series. I think it goes at least 6 games because I like Indiana. But the way OKC is built and the way they've been playing and how they've been defending, they could really win this finals in 5 games if they wanted to.
I think it's going to be OKC in 5, and I think we're going to probably get 3 blowout wins from OKC in this series.
I'm going to go OKC in 6. I'm going to give respect to Indiana because they are a good team. But yes, I'm going to say 2 blowout wins because they're going to have, probably 1 at home for sure. Like 2 at home, they can blow them out. And then I think the rest, they'll probably be pretty close. Indiana's going to play well. So they're going to show some grit and they're going to fight. Carlisle's going to have them ready. So I think they get 2 games, but I see OKC in 6.
Yeah, it's hard to envision how the Pacers get it done. The only thing, Danny, I think might work for the Pacers, it has to be a Pascal Siakam and Miles Turner type of series where Miles Turner stretching out from the 5, hitting a lot of threes so that there's, either Chet Holmgren or Isaiah Hartenstein can't be at the rim. And that allows Siakam to, if he's guarded by Chet Holmgren, he's going to have to school Chet Holmgren. He's going to have to make Chet Holmgren take a step down. And he's capable of doing it. But because of Holmgren's measurements, his length, I don't know if he's gonna. It's not like Pascal won't play well, but it would have to be one of those series where he dominates him. Yeah. And I don't think
and even if he does do that, dominated. I just see they have so many Lou Dort. They have so many bodies that they can put on Pascal and hide Chet. They could put Chet on a wing and say, hey, they're only shooting threes. Guard Shepard or Nesmith and just make them drive. You got Hartenstein there. You got length. You got people shifting. Make those guys beat us one-on-one against Chet from the perimeter. Cool. I'm living with that. Just take away 3 from somebody in the wing. So Pascal does get cooking. They just have too many wings, man, defensively. They can throw at Tyrese Halliburton and Pascal to where it just slows Indiana down.
All right. So you and I are pretty much consensus here. It's OKC's finals to lose. I think both of us are probably going to think that it's going to be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander who wins Finals MVP just because he is the head of the snake. And Aaron Nesmith kind of showed towards the end of that NBA of the Eastern Conference Finals. He wasn't fully healthy. That's why they had to put Nembhard on Brunson. But that being said, let's envision the impossible. The Pacers pull off the upset and win the NBA Finals. Give me 3 things that will happen if the Pacers win.
They're going to have everybody kind of play. Not everybody, but a lot of guys have to play above themselves.
You got to give me 3 specific things. 3 specific things.
Okay. Well, Tyrese Halliburton has to play consistent throughout the whole series. Him and Pascal are going to have to be the leaders of this group.
Give me numbers.
He's going to have to hit their record when he hits 20 points over is really good, but he's going to have to be 25 and over for most of this series. 25 plus points, 6 plus rebounds, 8 plus assists. He's going to have that type of series. Pascal is going to have to average 30. He's going to have to average 30. And if he doesn't average 30,
you're looking for almost 60 points between those 2 points.
At least 55. At least 55 points between those two. Because I'm not sure if I'm trusting the other young guys to be able to step up. Because if they're not doing it, guess who else has to step up? You have to have Nesmith to average like 15, or like between Nesmith, Nembhard, Obi Toppin, TJ McConnell, and Mathurin, you're going to need some points. But you're going to need that anyway. Even with those two averaging that 30 point or 55 points together, you're going to need Miles Turner to chip in a consistent 15 to 18 points. And then off the bench, you're going to need 2 guys to give you some good stuff, like Obi Toppin and like a TJ McConnell or an Obi Toppin and Nembhard, which, like you said, the impossible. There's a lot of guys that have to play above themselves. That's why we call it the impossible. You're going to need Nembhard to have a Fred VanVleet type of series.
Okay. So the one specific is Siakam and Halliburton to average at least 55 points. Give me number 2.
They're going to have to not turn the ball. They're going to have to keep their turnovers below 12. They're going to have to keep their turnovers below, honestly, I would say 10. That
seems real impossible. Under 12 turnovers a game?
Yeah. If they want to win the game, they're going to have 12 turnovers or less to be efficient, to keep OKC within realm, because they generate so much more offense off their defense. You want to slow them down offensively? Don't allow them to dictate it with their defense. Take care of the ball and get shots up on goal. That's number 2.
Okay. Under 12 or less turnovers per game, or at least per win. Siakam and Halliburton to score at least 55 points in those wins, or at least in the series. Last one, number 3.
I want to say win the rebounding battle, but that's pretty obvious. But I think the best thing you can do
give me maybe a defensive.
That's what I'm gonna say. Play without fouling and try to win.
Keep SGA off the free throw line.
Not keep them off the free throw line, but try to win the free throw. Try to get more free throws than them. And that's like, maybe if he only one gets free throws, nobody else gets free throws. But you have to win the free throw attempt battle, and let's try to play without fouling. Try to keep them off the free throw line. Not SJ limit his free throws, but everybody else can't get to free throw line too. So if you do that and you have your guys go to, whether it's Miles Turner, Halliburton, Pascal, y'all better make sure that your group wins the free throw attempt battle over OKC.
I like that. Here's what I will say. I think those are all things that would seem almost mandatory in order for them to win. Mm-hmm. And I just don't think it's doable. With that being said, as we get ready to close here is my one fear about the NBA playoffs, Danny. And while I would love for it to be a 6 or 7 game series, I don't think that happens. It is what it is. We can't force the NBA finals to be competitive. Mm-hmm. You know, it will be all like it, of course, but we can't force it. Here's what I am dreading and I hope does not happen. I hope that when the NBA finals are over, and if it's the Oklahoma City Thunder that are the victorious team, I do not want to have day after day or after every game discussions about SGA being a free throw merchant.
Yeah.
It is a bad look for the brand of the NBA when your MVP, one of the faces of the league or one of the teams that could be dynastic, is referred to as a free throw merchant. And some of that is on the media. Some of that is on the referees.
Yeah.
Some of that is on the NBA. And some of that is actually on SGA too. I'll keep it real. Sometimes I despise when players play to get fouled. I think, I don't like it. And I think I speak for a lot of NBA fans when I say I don't like it. But as a basketball fan, a true fan of the sport, I respect it. I understand it is a skill.
In moments, yeah, it's a skill to have. And in moments, it makes sense to do. But playing the whole game that way is disgusting. If you need to get poised and slow down the game and find a bucket, all right, we need to get settled in. I'm going to go get to the free throw line. Okay, fully understandable. But if you're playing bad and the whole game is not going your way and you're just every time down the floor trying to get a foul or just trying to get to the free throw line to muck up the game, it's nasty work. But yes, I understand, respect it. But yes, as a defender, as a true fan of the game, I'm biased to where I very much dislike the foul baiting. And that was one of the things that I presented as, if we want to make the game better for the regular season, have the games be played like this, like the playoffs, where the referee's allowing some physicality and they're not slowing the game down with a bunch of free throws, and try to eliminate foul baiting as much as you can from everybody to make it fair. Anytime a guy tries to jump out of his box to draw a foul or swing his arms another way, or if he runs into somebody and bumps his head back, watch him pick his ass up off the floor and don't give him any calls. So at some point, I think we need to get there. But yes, I'm with you on that as well.
I think what makes SGA's foul drawing a little bit more different than, like, let's just say the Jalen Brunsons of the world or the Nikola Jokic's of the world or the Giannis Antetokounmpos of the world, like guys who get to the free throw line a lot. And yeah, I respect their abilities to get to the line, just like I do SGA's. I think what makes SGA's a little bit more different, or at least what was happening in the Western Conference Finals, he was falling to the floor. Yeah, like, it's one thing when you just jerk back, you know what I'm saying, or you pick up an arm, but like when you are falling to the floor, losing your entire balance, and you're on the floor, that's why Jaden McDaniels like, yo, you literally just fell, bro. Like, come on. Like,
I'm gonna push. I'm gonna use my foul until you really. I'm gonna make sure it's a foul. It's really good. You're really gonna fall now. Yeah. So I get it, but yes, there's some guys that are elite at it and they're in a league of their own, and SGA gets that respect, and he's a very good player. So that's what makes it more frustrating.
Very good player.
Some of these guys don't need to do that. You're good enough to get you a shot off without having to get a foul. You're good enough to create offense without having to bait. So yeah, I'm with you on that. But I said, hopefully it's competitive. We'll see. But the way it's matching up and what it's looking like, we haven't seen many 4 seeds make the finals. And it's an OKC's a 1 seed and they're really good defensively. So it's gonna be an interesting matchup. I hope it's an interesting matchup. And I hope Indiana beats the odds or defies the odds, and not saying does the impossible, but makes it better than what people are expecting it to be.
2 quick things. I was doing ESPN radio this past weekend, and the question was posed to me: does is SGA now ahead of Luka? And I was like, damn, I didn't feel comfortable saying that he was because I still feel like Luka is an offense unto himself. And it's not 1 year. This is the third straight year that SGA has scored over 30 points per game and shot over 50% from the field. So it's
but
not
it's his first year getting to the finals. Luka's been to the Western Conference Finals plenty of times and the finals before, and he is a system. Like James Harden would say, I'm a system. He is a system. So, yes, this is the first year SGA has gotten to the finals. He's done it individual success, but as a team success, Luka's been able to carry his group further past than what we've expected him to do with groups we didn't think were talented enough to get to the Western Conference Finals or the finals. And SGA has done it with the number 1 seed team, though he's supposed to get there. So, yes, it's hard to say that right now. But this year, he's had a better year than Luka this year.
He's had a better year. I couldn't qualify it just based off 1 year. If I look at the totality, even if I did recency bias of the last 3 years, I would still take Luka, but I understand SGA standing in the league. A couple more things. Number one, I tweeted this out at the end of the Western Conference Finals. I really hope that Anthony Edwards, Victor Wembanyama, Luka Doncic, and Nikola Jokic, I hope those 4 guys are able to have a roster just as good or as competitive as the Thunder. Because SGA, as great as he is, when you compare him to those other 4 guys, his roster is clearly better. Like, leaps and bounds better than those other guys. And I think it sucks because just like everybody does, there's going to be a debate. Who's a better player? Who's a better basketball player? It's like, well, bro, when you got that type of roster,
yes, I think it's definitely more lopsided compared to Minnesota. For sure, it's more lopsided. But I feel like Denver, when healthy, and those guys are playing what they were supposed to play, when Jamal Murray and MPJ and Aaron Gordon, they have some good pieces. Who else did you mention on that list with him?
And Wemby and Luka.
Yes, Luka and Wemby, they have some ways to go. But
they need comparable rosters.
Yes, so does Ant. Ant has some ways to go. But Jokic, I think Denver has had the pieces, and they've shown they had the pieces. They just didn't have health and consistency. And so they lost some depth each year that they went further in the playoffs. So
and then finally, last one here, and then we'll go. I was also asked this question. Are the Oklahoma City Thunder the next dynasty in the NBA? And I believe that they're not the next Bulls. They're not the next Lakers. They're not the next Warriors. But I do believe this, though, Danny, and you might not like what I'm about to say.
I know what you're going to say.
The Thunder are the new San Antonio Spurs. It's not going to be. It might not be back to back. It might not be 3 in a row.
Every other year, every 2 or 3 years.
They're going to be messing around winning a title.
I could see if they keep everybody together and they keep doing what they're doing. I'm not disagreeing. I think they can get there every other year, every 2 or 3 years for the next 7 years.
Decade, like the next 7 to 10 years.
The next 7 years, I think they can make another 2 or 3 more finals runs. So yeah. I don't know if they'll get 5. They won't win 5, but they can get 3. I think they get 3 out of the next decade.
Damn. Oh, so Timmy, how many years did Timmy play?
Timmy
18?
He played a long time. He has 5. He has 5 of them.
He has 5. How many years did he play?
I think 18.
Let's see.
I think they got 03, 05, 07, and 2014. And he has 99 with David Robinson. So yeah, and Tony and Manu have 4. So they have 4. That all 3 of them have 4 together. So OKC to match them would have to get at least 4 with that group. So 19 seasons for Timmy.
Yeah, 19 seasons. 19 seasons for Tim Duncan. So yeah, you're right. Shea, Shea's probably in year 7. So you have to run off a string of them real quick because Timmy got one in his first season. So yeah, it's a little bit more difficult to make that happen, but it's going to be interesting. And then if they pull off a dynasty, Danny, when we look back at this stage of the NBA 15, 20 years from now, I'm going to be fascinated.
Sam Presti
if that happens. Genius. If that happens, I'm going to be fascinated on how that positions Russell Westbrook, James Harden, and Kevin Durant in the pantheon of great NBA players.
Wow. And the city like of Oklahoma, right? Like, because there's a franchise that they're talking about moving. Like they were not happy with
they're staying now, for sure.
Yeah, they're not going nowhere. But it was a city like, oh, you need to move Oklahoma City. A couple of years ago, like, oh, this is a city that should probably go back to Seattle.
Well, it's going to be it. I believe the thought or the belief is that when the expansion team right now, if they won, it would still be under the Seattle Sonics team name, right? It's still they are considered, the Seattle Sonics just now in Oklahoma City as a Thunder. But if there's an expansion team, then that team would not. Then they would become the Seattle Sonics. Their history would be the Seattle Sonics. So that's how it's supposed to play out. All right, that's it. I'm looking forward to game one. I just hope it's competitive. I'm sure everybody who's listening and watching hopes it's going to be as well. I will, as much as I'm a Knicks fan, I hope I am wrong. I hope the Pacers somehow I want drama.
It'll make you guys look better. It'll make you guys look better. If they go to 6 games, 7 games, like, Indiana's actually a really good, damn good team. And if they win it, we lost to the champs, so.
Well, no, I got some.
They had a great year.
I'm not trying
Everybody
to
got smoked for. Everybody
I'm not trying to win
in New York. Yeah. Well, until then, you know what to do. Read, rate, subscribe, review. Peace.